So the question facing us today is, where is Bethlehem? Where is Bethlehem? Now you could get a map or a globe or an atlas, or you could Google it. You could find out that it's 32 degrees latitude and 35 degrees longitude, or vice versa, something like that. You could locate it that way. But that would be the historical, that would be the geographical, that would be the political Bethlehem. Father Greg was just in Israel a couple weeks ago, and he was close to Bethlehem. He was in Jerusalem. Bethlehem is only about a little more than 5 miles west of Jerusalem, but he wasn't able to go to Bethlehem because of a security restriction. Not on him, on the city. Okay. But Bethlehem is there. Bethlehem is about 97 miles south of Nazareth. Imagine 97 miles on a donkey. Imagine a ride like that, huh? At our last Mass for the semester before we broke for the university holidays, a young student came up to me. She was all excited. She said, Father Jack, I'm going to be in Israel over the break, and on Christmas I'm going to be in Bethlehem. She was so excited about that. Now, most of us probably will never get to Bethlehem. Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you will travel and get there someday, but for most of us, Bethlehem is something that we remember at Christmas time or we see on the news when there's a political crisis. But that's the Bethlehem again, that's the Bethlehem, that's the geographic Bethlehem, the political Bethlehem, the historical Bethlehem. But there's another Bethlehem, a theological Bethlehem, a spiritual Bethlehem. And a couple months ago, someone brought to my attention a poem entitled The Shepherd's Vision. And you don't have the text in front of you, but I want to just share a little bit of it with you. It's a Christmas poem by a woman named Effie Smith Ellie, and I had never heard it before. The first part is kind of predictable. Upon the dim Judean hills, the shepherd watched their flocks by night, when on their unexpected gaze outshone that vision of delight, the fairest that did ever rise to awe and gladden earthly eyes. Okay, we've heard that before, huh? But then she has an insight in the second verse. She says, from no far realm those shepherds came, treading the pilgrim's weary road, nor theirs the vigil and fast within the hermit's mean abode. And here it comes. 'Twas at their usual task they stood, when dawned that light of matchless good. Life's revelation comes in grace most often to the toiler true, who working steadfast in his place, looks for the coming of God's will. In other words, we don't have to make a pilgrimage. We don't have to fast. We don't have to be a hermit to find Bethlehem. Bethlehem can be found anywhere, anytime. It can be found in the office where you work, or the home where you do dishes in your sink, or this classroom where you teach or study. It can be found at the bedside of someone who's ill that you care about, or maybe someone who's dying. Bethlehem can be found in all of those places because that's where God's glory can be seen. For our sisters and brothers in the Jewish faith, they try to make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem once during Passover in their lifetime. And if they can't make it one year, they always pray, next year, Jerusalem. Next year, Jerusalem. And some die without ever having been there. But they get consolation from the 5th verse of Psalm 85 that says, blessed are those whose strength is in you, in whose heart are the highways to Zion, or sometimes translated, in whose heart are the highways to Jerusalem. And today I think we'll translate it to say, in whose heart are the roads to Bethlehem. You see, sisters and brothers, Bethlehem is not just on a map. Bethlehem has to be within our heart. The medieval mystic Meister Eckhart said this. He said, it matters not if Christ was born in Bethlehem hundreds of years ago, if Christ is not born in our hearts today. So our hearts then must be Bethlehem. The translation of the word Bethlehem is house of bread. How interesting, house of bread. Because in that house of bread, the eternal word of God became flesh. And then in an upper room years later in Jerusalem, That Word made flesh took bread in his hands and said, "This is my body." And in a few minutes we'll say the same thing, and we'll receive that bread, that living Word. And the bread will become us. It will become flesh again. And then we must be the living Word, the living bread for the world. We must become that house of bread. The Word becomes flesh, becomes bread, becomes flesh, must be the living Word for the world in our lives. Sisters and brothers, today and every day, Bethlehem is in you. Let's stand and profess our faith.